Tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up, reach for your phone, and within 60 seconds, before you've had coffee, before you've said a word to anyone, you're going to see someone living a life that makes yours feel smaller. Maybe it's an old classmate announcing a promotion, a friend's vacation photos, someone your age who just bought a house. And for a moment, just a moment, you're going to feel it. That quiet, sinking feeling that you're behind. That everyone else figured something out that you didn't. And then you'll feel embarrassed that you felt it at all. Because you know comparison is supposed to be the thief of joy. You've read the quotes. You've told yourself to stop. But you can't. And the reason you can't has nothing to do with your confidence, your maturity, or your mental health. You were built to compare yourself to others. The problem is that your brain is running software designed for a world that no longer exists. And understanding that changes everything. For 99% of human history, you knew roughly 150 people. Your village. Your tribe. That was your entire social world. The most successful person you could compare yourself to was the best hunter in your camp, or the family with the largest harvest. And even then, you saw them every day. You knew their struggles. You knew they had bad days too. Psychologist Robin Dunbar spent years studying primate brains and human social groups. His finding, now called Dunbar's number, showed that the human brain has a cognitive limit of around 150 stable social relationships. That's not a cultural limit. That's a biological one. It's baked into the size of our neocortex, the part of the brain that tracks other people. For hundreds of thousands of years, 150 was the entire competition. 150 was the whole world. Now open Instagram. You are now comparing yourself to 3 billion people, the most attractive, successful, adventurous, wealthy highlights of 3 billion human lives, curated, filtered, and delivered directly to your brain every single morning before you've even gotten out of bed. Your brain hasn't changed. The same hardware that was calibrated for 150 people is now trying to process 3 billion data points. That's not insecurity. That's a system running completely outside the parameters it was designed for. In 1954, psychologist Leon Festinger published a theory that would quietly explain one of the most painful parts of modern life. He called it social comparison theory. His core finding was simple. Humans have a fundamental, automatic drive to evaluate themselves against others, not as a character flaw, as a survival mechanism. In the ancient world, knowing your rank in the group was critical information. Are you stronger than the person next to you? Do you have more resources? Are you falling behind? Falling behind in a tribe of 150 people could mean losing access to food, shelter, or a mate. The brain treated social comparison like a smoke detector, always on, always scanning, because the cost of missing the signal was too high. The problem isn't that your brain is comparing. The problem is that it can't tell the difference between your neighbor and a stranger on a screen with 2 million followers. In 2018, researchers at the University of Pennsylvania conducted a controlled experiment. They took 143 undergraduate students and split them into 2 groups. One group continued using social media as normal. The other group was limited to 10 minutes per platform per day for 3 weeks. The result? The restricted group showed significant reductions in loneliness and depression. But here's the part nobody talks about. Even the group that changed nothing reported feeling worse after being told the study was about social media. Just being made aware of their usage made them more conscious of how it was affecting them. The comparison wasn't just making them feel bad. It was making them feel bad about feeling bad. A second layer of suffering sitting on top of the first. And there's one more layer. Psychologists call it upward comparison. When we compare ourselves to people we perceive as better off, Our brain doesn't just register the gap. It activates the same neural circuits as physical pain. A study published in Science in 2003 by Naomi Eisenberger showed that social rejection and social comparison trigger the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that lights up when you stub your toe. This isn't metaphorical pain. Scrolling through someone's highlight reel and feeling left behind is processed by your brain as a genuine physical threat. No wonder you can't just choose to stop. So let's talk about what this actually looks like in your life, because it's probably not what you think. It's not just Instagram envy. It's the feeling at a dinner party when someone mentions their salary and you do an instant mental calculation of where you rank. It's reading a job announcement from someone you went to university with and feeling something that isn't quite happiness, even though you consider them a friend. It's the strange relief, and then shame about the relief, when something doesn't work out for someone who seemed to be ahead of you. That last one, that quiet relief. Most people have never said it out loud to anyone, but almost everyone has felt it. Here's what the science says about that feeling. It has a name. German psychologists call it Schadenfreude, pleasure derived from another's misfortune. And brain imaging studies show it activates the brain's reward centers, specifically the striatum, the same region that responds to food, money, and social approval. You weren't born mean. You were born with a brain that tracks relative status, like a compass tracks north. It does this whether you ask it to or not. Whether you consider yourself a kind, non-judgmental person or not. The awareness of your rank compared to the people around you is processed automatically, beneath conscious thought, before you even have time to decide how you want to feel about it. And for your generation, millennials who grew up watching the promise of meritocracy quietly break down, who entered the workforce during a financial crisis, who watched the housing ladder get pulled up before they reached it, the gap between where you were told you'd be and where you actually are has never been wider. Your brain isn't lying to you when it tells you you're behind. It's telling you the truth about a system that wasn't designed in your favor. Now, none of this means you're destined to feel this way forever. But the path out doesn't start with telling yourself to stop comparing. That's like telling yourself to stop feeling hungry by thinking positive thoughts about food. The mechanism is deeper than willpower. What actually helps, what the research points to, is changing your reference group. Not your follower list. Not your apps. Your reference group. The people you actually talk to, spend time with, measure yourself against. Festinger's original theory also found something hopeful. Humans naturally prefer comparing to people who are similar to them, not dramatically superior. When you compare yourself to someone 10 levels ahead, you feel despair. When you compare to someone 1 level ahead, you feel motivated. The problem is that social media has no algorithm for similar. It has an algorithm for maximum engagement. And nothing is more engaging than showing you the life you wish you had. For most of human history, your social world had a natural ceiling. You could only know so many people. You could only see so many lives. That ceiling was a constraint, but it was also a kind of mercy. The 150 people around you were real, complex, struggling in ways you could see. It was much harder to feel chronically behind when you knew the full story of every person you were comparing yourself to. We removed that ceiling. We gave ourselves access to every human life on Earth, curated to show only the best moments, and then wondered why we feel like we're never enough. The comparison didn't break you. The scale did. And that's not a personal failure. It's an engineering problem that nobody warned you about. Tomorrow morning, when you reach for your phone and feel that familiar sinking, remember, your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. It's just doing it in a world it was never built for. That's not a flaw. That's just what it means to be a very old species living in a very new world.